Hey there, welcome. It's Karen Lanoux from No Limits Businesswoman, and I'm really glad that you're here today because we're going to be talking about, are you the only one that feels like an imposter? And I'll just answer that right off the bat. No, you're not. What surprised me so much when I started my coaching business 12 years ago is that I immediately started attracting high achieving people. I was working with both men and women at that point. And what always amazed me is that there was always something that they didn't feel like they were good enough at, or that somebody was going to, think that they were a fraud, or they were going to find out that they weren't as good as they thought they were. And that's really what the imposter syndrome is. And for some people, this is a new term for you, where it's like the imposter syndrome. It's like, I feel like an imposter, but really it is about, for the most part, it's really about not feeling good enough. And again, I have not met one woman, period, not one, who at some point in something, and it's not in everything, but at some point in something, and usually, again, it's in business or they're in their business or in their work life, that they're not feeling good enough. And that's what the imposter syndrome is all about. That's specifically one of the main things that I help my clients with. Virtually on every call, we have calls on Mondays, strategy calls on Mondays, and mindset calls on Thursdays in the No Limits Mastermind. And one of the gals will bring up a problem, and we'll kind of discuss it. We'll either clear on it in the mindset portion, or I'll come up or kind of give some strategies for what they need to do. And it happens just about every time where they'll say, "Oh, thank goodness." That's great news. But then there would be another gal in the group who would say, "Oh, thank you so much for bringing that up. That's been an issue for me too." And everybody always says, "I am so glad I'm not the only one." And that's the amazing power of groups is that you just are not the only one, because you get evidence every week in this case, that you're not the only one going through these particular situations. But in terms of the whole thing around the imposter syndrome, again, not feeling good enough, feeling like a fraud, or feeling like people think you're really good at what you do, but you don't feel that good. And so you feel like you might be found out at some point. And so what happens with that is typically people will start to hold themselves back, or not go full force into trying to achieve or trying to make some changes, and again, in their business or their career. And so because they just, again, they're hesitant, they're not feeling good enough. So how do you change that? Because really it's that self-doubt, that overwhelming self-doubt leads to self-sabotage, right? Where again, we're not taking on, some of the things that we need to do. We're not taking action. And when we're not taking action, then again, we're not moving forward at the level that we want to. And again, having the confidence, having the clarity is like, okay, yeah, I am good enough. Yes, I do feel good about myself, allows you then to take those quantum leaps. So I'll give you an example. So I've had, virtually, again, all my clients at some level over the last 12 years, again, man or woman, all high achieving people, have not felt good enough. And so a couple of stories. There's one gal that I worked with, and she's in the legal profession, and she was going to go and do something. She was going to leave working for firms, for legal firms, or working for other people. She was going to start her own business. And what she was going into was unheard of, really. Again, in the whole profession, people would frown on this, or they would not be that excited. They just they had all kinds of opinions about it, and most were not good. And so of course she's thinking, I'm drawn by this, I'm inspired by this, but are all these people wrong? Is there something wrong with me? Am I really even good enough to do this? And what happened is, as we work through that, because again, what happens is there's these limiting beliefs, there are experiences that we've gone through, or people have told us something over time, where we're not feeling like we're capable, or maybe we're feeling like we're too big for our britches. We're acting like too big for our britches. And certainly as women, we get pushed down for that, right? It's like, who do you think you are, right? Tell me if that sounds familiar. And so what happened is that these things get ingrained in us, and again, they limit us. And of course, my business is called No Limits Businesswoman. We want to break through those limits. We want to stop that. And so, so this particular gal, what happened is that she went on to start her business, and it started to flourish. But then, of course, as she tries new things, as she moved forward, and she wanted to start speaking. But then she she didn't think that she could get paid for it. She certainly didn't think that she could get paid very well. And what happened, again, as we work through this, is that she's in high demand and gets paid very well to go out and speak, which actually grows her business in this field, which was not the norm for people to do, and certainly not a young woman of her age to do as well, right? So there was this limiting belief for her that I can't do this, or it's going to be too hard, or what will people think, or I'm not good enough, or maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. And all of that is the imposter syndrome. And so when we succumb to that, what that does is it holds us back. And and it has an impact on us. It has an impact on us emotionally, mentally, sometimes physically, because we wake up in the middle of the night, it's going, what am I doing? How am I doing this? There's a stress that comes along with that, and we get severely impacted by that. But also, it has a cost for us. It has an impact financially. If you think about for yourself, if you have been living with the imposter syndrome, or not feeling good enough, or feeling like a fraud, how has that impacted your life? Right? So really what I do specifically, how I solve this problem is I go through and I find out what that limiting belief is, or in often case it's many limiting beliefs, and they're beliefs that are so normal to us, so ingrained in us that we can't even see them. And so I have the pleasure of actually seeing people's heads kind of explode, figuratively, when I just point out, hey, this is a limiting belief, you need a new perspective on this. We clear it out with a clearing process. I use the QC3 method, and in that is a clearing process where I find that those beliefs, we start to clear them out, and all of a sudden they feel like they can take action. That feeling, that limiting feeling and fear really of not being able to move forward starts to kind of subside. So again, for this one gal, what happened is she went on to grow her business. I think this year she was going to hit $1 million, only a couple of years after she started her business. She is again in high demand speaking, and gets paid very well to speak, which then again just brings in more clients. All of these things at every level, every stop, there was this feeling of this imposter syndrome. Look, this has happened for me at every time when I'm going to do something new. This happens at every time, at every juncture where I'm coming up against and saying, okay, I want to do something new. I want to try this. Also for myself, I feel like am I good enough? Or is this going to be good enough? Or am I going to be good enough? Can I do this? Right? Are people going to believe me? Are they going to start to, point and say, who do you think you are? Right? And really, if you think about it, this is all mindset. Really, you have skills right now. You have skills. You have techniques that you use. And if you're not getting to where you want to go, then it's just mindset that's stopping you. Right? What I see is a lot of people keep looking for other options and other ways. And, if I only learn this, if I learn this new technique, if I get this diploma, if I get this degree, if I take this certification, then I'll be good enough. Yeah, doesn't happen. Does not happen. So, so really, again, my way of doing it, the most effective way that I find to move through this is to clear on it. But what I'm going to leave you with today, because I'm going to keep this really short today, is to actually do something. And this is one of the things that I teach, is using a brag book. And a brag book, this will be really good for you, where you start to write down and just write down, daily or whenever something good happens, when you feel really good about something, when somebody compliments you, when you get a great email or a post or something where somebody says, hey, I love what you do, you really helped me, or you did a really good job on this, then put it in your book, because we forget. We remember all the terrible stuff, but we forget all the good stuff we do, and all the wonderful things that people have said to us. We seem to just let that go by. So get a brag book, and so for me, I have a brag book, and then so I have it's a gratitude journal, but then I flip it over, and in the back is my brag book. And so a brag book is really just about you writing down all the good things that you do, the good things that people have said, the good things that you know you could pat yourself on the back for. And so when you do this, this starts to shift the energy. This starts to shift the mindset, because then you start to believe. It's a longer process, but it does help and it does work. So thanks, Donna. You just wrote something. I wrote this morning, I am phony. I can't do anything right. I can't succeed at anything. How did you know, Karen? Well, look, you're not alone. You're just not alone, Donna. This happens for everybody. And again, it could just be we're waking up on the wrong side of the bed, or again, things are not going the way we want them to. And so it's my bet 99.9% of the time is it's just not true. And so what we need to do again is start to clear. Now, Donna, you know the clearing process. I would clear on that. And in the clearing process here, what I would do is say, everywhere I've bought the lie that I'm a phony, am I willing to eliminate that? Yes, destory, transform, and release. And so that's the clearing process for many of you who do not know about the QC3 method. But you know, for many of you, for some of you, you do know. And so you need to use the tools. The tools do work. The clearing process does work. So, my question to you, and not you, Donna, specifically, but for everybody, is that how long do you want to be working on this? How long do you want to be trying to figure this out? Because you can go kind of at a pace, or you can go fast, right? I don't know, for me, the last 12 years in my business has flown by like that. And if I could go back and talk to my younger self, my 12 years past self, and say, hey, you know, what would I recommend? Well, what I would have recommended at that point is that I would have hired my coaches way sooner than I ever did. I would have gotten help, because trying to move out of this is not easy. It's just not easy. So again, you can go slow, you can try and figure out what your limiting beliefs are, and those things that are causing you to feel like an imposter. Or you could get the tools and the strategies that actually make it go way faster. So all of a sudden everything breaks open and you can start taking action in a very different way. I mean, really, what would that feel like? Really, what would that feel like if all of a sudden you weren't limited by that feeling of not being good enough? And it's possible. I will tell you that 100%. It is possible. It is an ongoing process. But again, once you start to have the tools, once you start to have the strategies, once you start to change some of the initial big matzo balls that are in there, they're in there. Once you start to kind of get rid of those ones, and it's just the little ones that we keep working on, which then allow us to take action. And when we take action, and I'm going to say inspired action, when we take inspired action, everything changes. We're not working as hard and things flow to us. So again, what would that feel like? What would that feel like? Now, I invite you to, to write your comments down below, and let me know what would that feel like if you could actually achieve the things, if you could stop feeling like an imposter in your life, in your world. What would that feel like, and what would you achieve? What would you really go for if you really felt like I'm good enough? I'm more than good enough. I'm in fact freaking awesome. What would you do? So write that down below. I would love to hear from you. So I'm going to leave that with you today. If you would like help, and if you do want to get that confidence to move, to take those quantum leaps faster in your life, in your business, then just go to nolimitsbusinesswoman.com/talk. You and I will just have a short chat to begin with to see if I can help you. And that's all it is. It's just can I actually help you? And then if I think I can, then we'll schedule a time to talk that where we can figure out what that looks like for you, really what you're coming up with, and come up with a plan for you. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you are having a fabulous Monday. I will see you next week. I don't have my schedule yet. I haven't created March's schedule. Can you even believe it's March? No, me neither. All right. Take care. Love you. See you.